Ability that I want to show you today using a MacBook Air is going to be the switch control feature. I use switches regularly with students in my classroom, whether it's as a means of communication or a means for teaching cause and effect. But switches can be used to unlock a wide variety of technology items. Little known fact about switches: all you need is a switch, and then you need a product that either has a lightning cable, a USB port, or an aux output port to be able to hook up these new interface options that students have. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you how this looks on the MacBook within its own technology using the spacebar key. But I do like to just share that it can be used for more than just like a spacebar. If you hook up switches, you can unlock a wide variety of accessibility tools for students. So you're going to go over to Switch Control on the accessibility page of a MacBook, and then you're going to click Enable Switch Control, and then it's going to bring up this bar called Home Switch. What it's going to do is it's going to highlight each of those options and scan through those options. And when it gets on the option that you want, once it's scanning, you're going to press the space bar. The space bar is acting as your switch. Right now I have it set as taking 2 loops, meaning it's going to go through those options once, and then it's going to repeat, and then it's going to stop, and I have to reactivate the space bar to do it again. You can go up to 10 loops, maybe for students who need processing time. Just for the sake of this, I'm going to do 2 loops. And also for the sake of time, I'm going to adjust the gliding and rotation cursor speed. That's going to change how fast my options are given to me once I am scrolling the screen. You're going to see, I'll show you really quick what the difference is. So if I want it set at 2 seconds, if I go to the pointer and click move and click, it's going to move very slow. Now if I go up to about 20 seconds, my ability to get things as precise is not going to be there, but you're going to see with the scanning, it gives options for being more precise. It's really a great feature. So I'm going to go up to 20 seconds just for the sake of time. I'm going to scroll through here, and you can see it's going to bounce back. I wasn't quite ready to make my selection. I'm going to open up this folder called Switch Pictures for AT. And like I said, see, it moves very quickly. So then I'm going to go ahead and double click. That's how we open folders. And I'm going to go through and show you some pictures of some switches that I have used, and then also ones that we've considered using for students. This right here is called a Big Mac switch. This is what I use for really my students who are starting out with switch communication or switch cause and effect usage. I have a student that came to me with no functional form of communication. He had Proloquo, and everybody just assumed that's what he used. The problem was the student doesn't have the ability to isolate his pointer finger. And without isolating your pointer finger for Proloquo, it does make using an iPad much more difficult. So we had a speech consult come out and also recommend using switches. So we started him on a Big Mac switch to teach cause and effect. We started this with, he's very food motivated, so when he's eating a snack, he would request more. He would press the button. We would give him more. Very basic. Now we moved to, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. He would select food for when he wanted a snack. He would select thirsty for when he wanted water. And then now we've switched him back to Proloquo has a scanning feature. We also did more than just use these for his means of communication. We hooked these up to a boombox. He's really motivated by music, specifically classic rock. And so we hooked it up to the aux cord output, and then we also have a interface that we actually hook the Big Mac straight into, and then the interface gets the boombox. So when he pressed the Big Mac switch, it turned his classic rock radio station on. And so that was an highly motivating opportunity for him. And so he was able to learn how to use the switches pretty quickly. So this is really for single-use Big Mac switches or maybe double-use Big Mac switches. They're really big, so for him it's nice because we can space them out as far as we need to. Because like I said, he has a hard time just really isolating and moving to be very precise with where he wants to move his hand. He's very jerky. He has the seizure disorder. So this is a good option for him. The next one I'm going to show you is the iTalk 4. This is one that you would maybe use for students who are able to use a variety of different options. You can Velcro on little picture icons. So this would be a good one for a switch interface that I'm going to show you that you can use multiple different options with. We don't currently use this with our one student, but I have used this before for students who just have a little bit more gross and fine motor skills. This is really the same thing as the iTalk 4. It just has two different levels. This is a plate switch. So I used this with another student of mine who was really oddly, we found motivated by the clicking noise of a switch. So when you press the button on a Big Mac switch, it just makes a naturally clicking noise. And he was, for some reason, really motivated by that. So we went to the plate switch because it didn't make that clicking noises. Plate switches are also good for students who maybe rub their hand across something to be able to press a button, who maybe just don't have the ability to fully click down on a Big Mac switch. So I've used a plate switch before. It's the same thing as a Big Mac switch. It just has, it's a little bit more sensitive and doesn't have the extra component of the noise that my one friend was apparently highly motivated by. This is a Bluetooth switch. It's the same thing as the iTalk 2 level, except it doesn't have any cords, which is really nice. I do not use any of these. They are very pricey, but it does make things easier for students who maybe aren't sitting directly next to their technology, who it's more movable and it's more able to be taken to different environments. So that's another good option. And then this is another one I have not used. Oh goodness. See, and that's the problem. That's the only downfall with using the scanning is it takes a while to learn. I'm not perfect at it. I don't use it all the time, but just like anything we learn, it's not going to be perfect the first time you use it. But think about how much this could unlock for, see, I am struggling. Think about how much this could unlock for a student who can learn to use this really, really well. They could be really, really efficient with using switch scanning. The Big Mac candy corn proximity switch is just another switch option. This is good for students who maybe don't have the ability to press a button or isolate to get really, really close to pressing a button. You just have to wave a hand across this in order to activate the switch. So this is, again, a good option for maybe students who don't have the fine motor skills to press a button, but can move their hand across to activate a switch. And I'm going to close out of this because I accidentally opened it because I am clearly not very perfect at using the switch scanning. And then I'm going to just go, for the sake of time, scroll over to my last two things I want to show you. So these are what you would use to hook up a switch to these are the things you would hook up a switch to a computer or an iPad to be able to use it efficiently. So this is called a hook and switch interface. You would use this one for an iPad. It's got a lightning cable. And so you plug the switches into that switch interface, and then you plug that switch interface into an iPad, and it allows you to scan through options on the iPad. This is the next step for my friend who we're trying to teach switches and scanning on Proloquo. Proloquo has the accessibility to scan. And so once we finally get him to that point, we will use the hook and switch interface. Right now, we're utilizing a method called partner assisted scanning, where it uses a teacher and we scan through the options via human contact. So the last one I have to show you would be what you would hook up for a computer. So a method like this, and how you can hook up multiple different switches. So you can see at the bottom here, switch 1, switch 2, switch 3, switch 4. Actually, I'm going to open this up bigger. Kind of blurry, but you can see you would hook up switch 1 here, switch 2 here, switch 3 here, switch 4 here, switch 5 here, and then you would pick a row. And so we typically use this green row when we hook up the computer switch interface. And typically I'm working with students who are only using switch 1 levels, but you can hook up switch 2 for space and enter. So then you can use more than what would be the space bar. They could click enter to open up that item, left click, right click, and double left click. So it's just important to be able to see this accessibility piece, because although we might not have a lot of students come to us using switches, for that one student who is able to use switches and learn to use switches pretty proficiently, this could unlock an entire world for our students that might not otherwise have their world unlocked. And so I thought this would be a good piece to show you all, and a good way to show you all of the different switch items out there. Thanks.